So today we're going to be talking about traveling alone. A lot of you have asked about that. I do a lot of traveling by myself and I really enjoy it. So I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why traveling alone can be really beneficial. And then I'm also going to talk about a few ways you can ensure you're safe while traveling alone. Hi everybody, my name is Dee Burks and this is Retirement Rescue, where we talk about how to make money, save money, and create a great retirement. Well, of course, travel is part of a great retirement. It's something that I like to do. It's something that a lot of people do. But if you have for decades been part of a couple, traveling by yourself can be a little bit intimidating. But let's talk about some of the really great things you can gain by traveling by yourself. Now, of course, one of the reasons I love it is I can go where I want. I can do what I want without considering anyone else, without having to do something I don't want to do or feeling like I'm forcing someone else to do something they really don't want to do. I can just go and enjoy myself. I love that aspect of it. And I traveled for years with a husband, so believe me, that is one of the best things about traveling by yourself is you go where you want, you do what you want. It is totally your time, and I really enjoy that. Not only do you learn a lot about the places you go, which is great, but you also learn a lot about yourself. When you are traveling alone, you are depending on yourself. You are figuring everything out yourself. You are learning how to enjoy your life yourself. And I find that to be fabulous. I didn't really start traveling by myself a lot until after I turned 50. Prior to that, I would on occasion, like for work or for this, that, and the other, but not a great deal. After 50, I was always traveling by myself, or at least most of the time. And I found out that it really helped me develop my strengths. It really helped me also show a few weaknesses I had that maybe I needed to work on, and I have. But it really proves to you that you can go these places, you can depend on yourself, you can enjoy it by yourself, and that's enough. You do not have to have another person there to enjoy yourself. And that was a fabulous revelation to me because I'd pretty much most of the time, especially when we traveled for pleasure, like on cruises or whatever, I'd always been with someone. So learning that I could travel by myself and absolutely love it for completely different reasons was kind of a revelation, and it may be to you as well. Now, there are some great pluses of traveling alone. And really, they're the pluses of traveling anyway. You learn so much about people. You become much more compassionate. It opens your mind to so many different things. You become way less closed-minded, way less habitual. You feel that freedom to just go and do and explore and be someone else. You know, none of these people know you. You can try different things and have different experiences, and that is something that is invaluable when you travel. Proving to yourself that you can solve problems, you can solve issues, you can be flexible and creative as you travel teaches you a lot about yourself. And really, for me, travel has been one of those things that has taught me a great deal about myself. I have found that traveling by myself has helped me really develop my own intuition about situations, about people. I've become much better at judging situations and people. And honestly, every time you expand your world and you go explore and you go have adventures, you become a much more interesting person. How many times have you sat in a group of people, they're talking about the same old things they were talking about last week, last month, last year? The conversation never really changes. But when you sit with people who love to travel as you do or as I do, you have things to talk about. You can talk about your adventures and talk about things you've seen. That is a much more uplifting conversation than hearing about, Bernice's hemorrhoids or whatever for the 80th time. Nobody wants to hear that, But talking about your travel is just something that people are always interested in. It makes you more interesting as a human being, and it makes every conversation you have more interesting and fun. Now, when I travel, There is always a risk when you travel by yourself. I'm female, I'm over 50, so really anyone in that circumstance that's female and over 50 can also be seen as a target sometimes. But I am careful and I mitigate my risk very carefully, and I have never had a problem. But let's talk through some of the things I specifically do and don't do. Number one, I travel light. And I'm going to be doing a how to pack light for 5 days video here in 2 days. So be sure and look for that video too. But I travel light. I don't travel with a lot of jewelry, without anything expensive on me. If someone were to steal my backpack or my bag that I travel with, no big deal. I've never had that happen, but I always travel very light. I'm not distracted with a bunch of luggage or trying to heft things. Nothing like that. I also don't carry a large purse or a bag that is just asking for someone to try and take it. So I don't do that. I carry a minimal amount of cash and cards with me. I don't take everything. That is something I see people do all the time. They'll have 6, 7, 8 bank cards. They take all of them with them. I don't do that. I take 1 debit card and 2 credit cards, a MasterCard and a Visa, and everything else I leave at home. I carry cash and that's it. It's very small. I don't carry a huge billfold with my whole life in it. One of the other things I do is, you know how on the back of those cards it gives you a number if you were to lose that card on the back of the card that you just theoretically lost? I mean, really. One thing I do is for the cards that I take, I write that number down and I put it into my suitcase or my bag that I'm taking. That way, if I were to lose my cards or if they were to be compromised in some way, I can still call on those. And for those of you who think you'll use your phone app, do you really think someone's going to steal your cards and not also steal your phone? Phones are valuable. So I put that in my bag. That way I can go to my hotel room, I can call from the hotel, I can immediately cancel any card, but I only take a very few with me. That's just something I do. And while we're talking about your phone, I always turn off the auto connect to public Wi-Fi. I never connect to public Wi-Fi, even in a hotel where it's free. I never want to connect because you're putting in, if you're checking your email, you're putting in your email information, that they would be able to get your banking information if you're checking your bank account. That's also something I never do when I'm on traveling or I'm on vacation. I never check my accounts. I don't want there to ever be an opportunity for someone to take that information just because I was habitually checking an account that doesn't need to be checked. I'm on vacation. If I do have to check something or do have to get on like a financial app on my phone, I am always sure I am not connected to any Wi-Fi. I use the data on my phone. That's really the most secure way when you're traveling, and I do it that way. But I try to do that as little as possible. You just don't want to give people the opportunity, that's all. And while I've never had a problem, that may be one of the reasons I've never had a problem, because I'm careful about my information. Another way to protect yourself, especially if you're going to an area you're unfamiliar with, is talk to the people at the hotel, talk to the locals, talk to the bartender. Figure out where the nice parts of town are, which parts of town you really don't need to be driving through. There's always some of those in every town, even small towns. Ask some questions about the best places to go in the area, where you should and shouldn't be, and they will tell you. That's a really great shortcut. You can also get on Facebook or any of the social media sites. Almost every town has a local site where you can ask questions. That's a great way to find out about where you're going. And the most important one for me is I'm always staying aware. I'm aware of my surroundings. I'm aware of where I'm at. I'm aware of all the people around me. And I always trust my gut. Let me give you some examples of this. For example, I usually don't drink when I'm traveling by myself. I want to be in control of all my faculties. I also usually don't go out places late at night. Well, I kind of don't do that anyway because I like getting up really early. But when I'm on vacation and I am by myself, I'm very careful about that. I don't want to put myself in a position that's a compromising position and be alone. And one of the things that I have learned is if I get any kind of creepy feel, man, I'm out of there. This has actually happened a couple of times, and let me tell you what happened. They both involved hotel rooms, by the way. But I had booked a hotel room, and I got to the hotel and just had an overwhelming sense of dread. Like, girl, get out of here. Just immediately when I walked in the hotel. It was like a Best Western. It was just an average, not high end, not low end. The people seemed fine. The area seemed fine. But I just got this overwhelming sense of, you do not need to be here. I turned around and walked out. I didn't even check in. I called another hotel and booked a room. I called that hotel that I was sitting in front of in my car, and I canceled that room and just went on. Yes, I lost some money doing that, but it was worth the peace of mind. If I ever get that feeling, I immediately act on it. I don't sit there and try to convince myself, oh, it's fine. It'll be fine, because it's not fine. Even if nothing happens, when you feel that sensation, you don't sleep well. You're not very secure. You're always looking over your shoulder, scared to death. That's not worth it to me. I'd just rather lose the money on that room and go somewhere else. The second time it happened, I had actually gone to take a painting class from a wonderful artist in Texas. I flew in, I checked into the hotel, I checked in, and it seemed okay. I mean, I didn't, it wasn't bad. So I checked in the hotel and I went and ate dinner. And when I came back to the hotel, I walked into the hotel, that same sense of dread of, oh my goodness, I do not need to be here. So I went and packed my things. I'd already unpacked and everything. I went and packed everything in my room. I went downstairs. I told them, hey, I've had a family emergency. I've got to go. Thankfully, they didn't charge me. And I went out and I called another hotel, and they were full. It was a Marriott, I think I called. I called another hotel, but I told them what the deal was. I said, I checked into this hotel and I just got completely freaked out. Is there anything you can do? They found me a room. They didn't charge me a lot. It was great. They were very nice. And I had a fabulous next 3 days. But that would not have happened. That fabulous feeling of those next 3 days would not have happened if I'd stayed in that hotel. So if you feel the least bit freaked out, if you are uncertain of something, always act on it. People know that I love to go to casinos, and I do frequently in Vegas or wherever. I don't hesitate to ask security to escort me to my room. Not only do you feel safer being escorted to your room, especially if you won a lot of money, which happens, but people see you being escorted by security. You're no longer a target. They're not going to mess with you. So it's one of those things where I'm not paranoid about my safety. I've never had anything happen to me as far as personal safety, but that doesn't mean I'm not aware and that I don't take precautions. And because of that, I've always had a good experience. So when you think about personal safety and traveling alone, it's not about being paranoid or afraid. It's just about ensuring you have the best time possible when you're traveling. Now, I hope some of these tips have helped you to maybe eliminate that fear in the back of your mind of traveling by yourself, and you get out there and you explore this fabulous world we live in. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.